Hi everybody, it's Jennifer. Welcome back to Sunday School Corner. Today we're going to start with our regular circle time, but we have a different color cloth this time. Today our prayer shawl is white. Now I know Easter just passed, but in the church, this whole season of Easter lasts another 7 weeks. So we change from our purple Lent to our white Easter, and we're going to be celebrating the Easter season for the next few weeks. So our prayer shawl is white. We have the cross to remind us of Jesus. We have the Bible, which is the story of our faith. And we have our Christ candle, which reminds us that Christ is our light in the world. I'll light that again because it went out this time. There, that's better. So Easter was just last weekend, and I know we've talked a little bit about what Easter's all about. One of the biggest signs of spring and one of the best symbols of Easter is hope, because Jesus died, which was very sad, but then a few days later he rose again, which was a great source of hope and joy for all of his followers. So in springtime, a lot of the symbols of spring and new life are things like plants that are starting to grow and baby animals being born. I don't have any of those things here. So what I'm going to show you is an egg. I know everybody's seen eggs before. Everybody has eggs in their houses. And the eggs that we eat for breakfast and for lunch are delicious and very good for us. Eggs on the farm, however, are a little different. Eggs on the farm will hatch and become baby chicks, which is an excellent symbol, not only of Easter, but of hope and of spring. So our symbol today is going to be the egg, to remind us that every year things start new and things start fresh. And when Jesus was risen, that was life, that was the beginning of a whole new life and a whole new hope for his followers and everybody after him. So let's say a little prayer before we go off to story time, and we'll see you again next week. You can repeat after me. Dear God, thank you for raising Jesus and giving us hope in following his way of love and forgiveness. Amen. Thank you. See you next time.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to read you a story today that I really like. It's called The Three Little Wolves and the Big Bad Pig. It's not the story you think it is. The Three Little Wolves and the Big Bad Pig. Once upon a time, there were 3 little wolves. They were cuddly with soft fur and fluffy tails, and they lived with their mother. The first one was black, the second was gray, and the third was white. One day, the mother called the 3 little wolves around her and said, "My children, it is time for you to go out into the world. Go and build a house for yourselves, but beware of the big bad pig." "Oh, don't worry, Mother. We will watch out for him," said the 3 little wolves, and they set off. Soon they met a kangaroo who was pushing a wheelbarrow full of red and yellow bricks. "Please, will you give us some of your bricks?" asked the 3 little wolves. "Certainly," said the kangaroo, and she gave them lots of red and yellow bricks. Excuse me, Marvin. That's Marvin. So the 3 little wolves built themselves a house of bricks. The very next day, the big bad pig came prowling down the road and saw the house of bricks that the 3 little wolves had built. The wolves were playing croquet in the garden. When they saw the big bad pig coming, they ran inside and they locked the door. The pig knocked on the door and grunted, little wolves, let me come in." "No, no, no," said the 3 little wolves. "By the hair on our chinny chins, we will not let you in, not for all the tea leaves in our china teapot." "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down," said the pig. So he huffed and he puffed, and he puffed, and he huffed, but the house didn't fall down. And it was made of bricks. But the pig wasn't called big and bad for nothing. He went and fetched his sledgehammer, and he knocked the house down. The three little wolves only just managed to escape before the bricks crumbled, and they were very frightened indeed. "We shall have to build a stronger house," they said. Just then they saw a beaver who was mixing concrete in a concrete mixer. "Please, will you give us some of your concrete?" said the three little wolves. "Certainly," said the beaver, and he gave them buckets and buckets full of messy, slurry concrete. So the three little wolves built themselves a house of concrete. No sooner had they finished than the big bad pig came prowling down the road and saw the house of concrete that the little wolves had built. They were playing battledore and shuttlecock in the garden, and when they saw the big bad pig coming, they ran inside their house and shut the door. The pig rang the bell and said, "Little frightened wolves, let me come in." "No, no, no," said the three little wolves. "By the hair on our chinny chin chins, we will not let you in, not for all the tea leaves in our china teapot. Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down," said the big fat pig. So he huffed and he puffed and he puffed and he huffed, but the house didn't fall down. It was made of concrete. But the pig wasn't called big and bad for nothing. He went and fetched his pneumatic drill and he smashed the house down. The three little wolves managed to escape, but their chinny chin chins were trembling and trembling and trembling. "We shall build an even stronger house," they said, because they were very determined. Just then, they saw a truck coming along the road carrying barbed wire, iron bars, armor plates, and heavy metal padlocks. "Please, will you give us some of your barbed wire, a few iron bars and armor plates, and some heavy metal padlocks?" they said to the rhinoceros who was driving the truck. "Sure," said the rhinoceros, and he gave them plenty of barbed wire, iron bars, armor plates, and heavy padlocks. He also gave them some plexiglass, some reinforced steel chains, because he was a very generous and kind-hearted rhinoceros. So the three little wolves built themselves an extremely strong house. It was the strongest, securest house that one could possibly imagine. They felt absolutely safe. Well, very next day, the big bad pig came prowling along the road as usual. The three little wolves were playing hopscotch in the garden. When they saw the big bad pig coming, they ran inside their house, bolted the door, and locked all the 37 padlocks. The pig dialed the video entrance phone and said, "Little frightened wolves with the trembling chins, let me come in." "No, no, no," said the little wolves. "By the hair on our chinny chin chin, we will not let you in, not for all the tea leaves in our china teapot." "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down," said the pig. So he huffed and he puffed and he puffed and he huffed, but the house didn't fall down. But the big bad pig wasn't called big and bad for nothing. He brought some dynamite, laid it against the house. He lit the fuse, and the house blew up. The three little wolves just managed to escape with their fluffy tails scorched. "Something must be wrong with our building materials," they said. "We have to try something different." But what? At that moment, they saw a flamingo coming along. pushing a wheelbarrow filled with flowers. "Please, will you give us some flowers?" asked the little wolves. "With pleasure," said the flamingo, and he gave them lots of flowers. So the 3 little wolves built themselves a house of flowers. One wall was of marigolds, one of daffodils, one of pink roses, one of cherry blossoms. The ceiling was made of sunflowers, and the floor was a carpet of daisies. They had water lilies in their bathtub and buttercups in their refrigerator. It was a very rather fragile house, and it swayed in the wind, but it was very beautiful. The next day, the big bad pig came prowling down the road and saw the house built of flowers that the 3 little wolves had made. He rang the blue bell at the door and said, "Little frightened wolves with the trembling chins and the scorched tails, let me come in." "No, no, no," said the 3 little wolves. "By the hair on our chinny chin chins, we will not let you in, not for all the tea leaves in our china teapot. Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down," said the pig. I don't know. But as he took a deep breath, ready to huff and puff, he smelled the soft scent of the flowers. It was fantastic. And because the scent was so lovely, the pig took another breath and then another. Instead of huffing and puffing, he began to sniff. He sniffed deeper and deeper until he was quite filled with the fragrant scent. His heart grew tender and he realized how horrible he had been. Right then, he decided to become a big, good pig. He started to sing and dance the tarantella. Oh, look, you can see the wolves in the background. I didn't notice that before. There's the 3rd one right there. At first, the 3 little wolves were a bit worried. It might be a trick. But soon they realized that the pig had truly changed. So they came running out of the house. They started playing games with him. First, they played pig pog, then piggy in the middle, and when they were all tired, they invited him into the house. They offered him tea and strawberries and wolfberries and asked him to stay with them as long as he wanted. The pig accepted, and they all lived happily together ever after. And that is the story of the 3 little wolves and the big bad pig. I hope you enjoyed that.
And now let's say a prayer together. Dear God,
Dear God,
help us to feel safe.
help us to feel safe.
Help us to know you are always with us.
Help us to know you're always with us.
And help us to find joy
To help us to find joy
every day.
every day.
Amen.
Amen.
Now I wish everybody a good night. Have a good sleep in your very safe houses. And may God bless you. Amen.
Amen.